Hi, my name is Mrs. Nesin, and I'm going to read a story to you today. The title is Ruby by Maggie Glen. I was a kindergarten teacher, and this is one of my favorite stories that I read to my class. Ruby by Maggie Glen. Ruby felt different from other bears, sort of special. Mrs. Harris had been daydreaming when she made Ruby. She didn't notice that she was using the spotted material that was meant for the toy leopard. She didn't watch carefully when she sewed on the nose. Can you see which bear you think is Ruby? Ruby wasn't surprised when she was chosen from the other bears, but she didn't like being picked up by her ear. Ouch! Get off, she growled. Ruby's paw was stamped with an S, and she was thrown into the air. Yippee! S is for special, Ruby yelled. And there's Ruby, and there's the stamp. Ruby flew across the factory and landed in a box full of bears. Hello, she said. My name's Ruby, and I'm special, see? She held up her paw. No, silly, laughed a big bear. S is for second best. We're mistakes, said the bear with rabbit ears. When the box is full, we'll be thrown out. Ruby's fur stood on end. She was horrified. More bears joined them in the box. At last the machine stopped. The bears listened to the workers as they chatted and hurried to catch the bus home. They heard the key turn in the lock. Then everything was quiet. One by one they fell asleep, all except Ruby. Ruby was thinking. All she could hear was the sound of the big bear snoring. Hours passed. Suddenly Ruby shouted, "That's it!" "What's it?" gasped the rabbit-eared bear, who woke up with a fright. What's going on?" groaned the big bear, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "That's it," Ruby said again. "We'll escape." "Escape!" they all shouted, and they jumped out of the box. And can you see who Ruby is in this picture? She is. "Let's go," said Ruby. They looked for a way out. They rattled the windows. They pushed at the doors. "There's no way out," cried a little bear. "We're trapped." "This way," Ruby shouted, rushing into the restroom. They found a broken air vent. It was a very tight squeeze. They pushed and they pulled. They wiggled and they waggled until they were all in the yard outside. They ran silently, swiftly through the night and into the day. Some ran to the country and some to the town. Keep your eye on Ruby. Some squeezed through the mail slots. Some slipped through the open windows. Some hid in toy cupboards. And some crept into bed with lonely children. But Ruby climbed into the window of the very best toy shop in town. There she is. The other toys stared at Ruby. "What's the S for?" squealed the pigs. Special, said Ruby, proudly. All the toys shrieked with laughter. Scruffy, said the smart-looking penguin. Soppy, said the chimpanzee. Stupid, giggled the mice. Very strange for a bear, they all agreed. Don't come next to me, said a prim doll. Wouldn't want to, Ruby said. Stand at the back, shouted the other toys. They poked, they pulled, they prodded, and they pinched. Ruby pushed back as hard as she could, but there were too many of them. So Ruby spent all day at the back of the shelf. Then, just before closing time, a small girl came into the shop with her grandfather. They searched and searched for something different, something special. That's the one, the little girl said. Yes, Susie, said Grandfather, that one looks just very special like you. Ruby looked around here. Can they see me? We'll have that one, please, said the grandfather. It's me. They're pointing at me. Whoopee! The shopkeeper put Ruby on the counter. She looked at the S on Ruby's paw. I'm sorry, she said. This one is a second. I'll get you another one. No, thank you. That one is just perfect, said Grandfather. It has character. Character, thought Ruby. That sounds good. Shall I wrap it for you? The shopkeeper asked. Not likely, Ruby growled. Who wants to be shoved inside a paper bag? No, thank you, Susie said. I'll take her just as she is. They all went out of the shop and down the street. When they came to a yellow door, they stopped. We're home, Spotty, Susie said. Spotty? What a joke, Ruby muttered. It's got a growl, Susie said. And she and her grandfather laughed. So she called the bear Spotty. I wonder why. Susie took off her coat and scarf and set Ruby on her lap. Susie stared at Ruby and Ruby stared back. Suddenly, Ruby saw a little silver S hanging on a chain around Susie's neck. Hooray, thought Ruby. Susie's one of us, a special. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. And if we have time, I have another book about Ruby.